right, guys, welcome back to another video. As I've been talking about all week, it is the most exciting time of the year if you're a video game fan, as we are getting all of these showcases to see what we're going to be playing this year, next year, and beyond. And we have lots to talk about. We got some major reports yesterday, and we'll go over all of that. But before we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you do like your daily gaming news. And if you want the Spotify, just audio version of this show, check out the link in the description. So Xbox, big showcase on Sunday. I'm expecting great announcements. I feel like it's going to be a very, very good showcase. I'm very excited for it. And as we know, this has been kind of a tumultuous year for Xbox in terms of the way that the messaging has been coming out, the way that the media has sent out a bunch of articles basically asking people if Xbox is dying. It's been kind of absurd because obviously Xbox I think is in a very good position going forward. I think they're actually the best set up for success for the future, as we are seeing the industry change and grow and console exclusivity basically going by the wayside. More things are coming multi-platform, not just from Xbox, but also from PlayStation. And we're going to always have questions now going forward about, are more Xbox games going to be coming over to PlayStation? Obviously, this is because of their business up there by putting those 4 games on there. Yesterday, we got an interesting report here, and this is from Tom Warren and The Verge. And the report is that, as we've already know, and I mean, Phil Spencer even said this, they would be considering and looking at if they're going to bring other games over to the PlayStation platform. But one of the games that is mentioned here from Tom Warren is Halo Combat Evolved. Now, this is in an article, and I find this part kind of funny because, again, we're going into the weekend. We're getting to the showcases. There's tons of hype. The traction right now and the audience and the excitement for gaming is at an all-time high as we're going to go through this weekend. So you're getting a lot more traffic on the stuff that you're doing. And Tom Warren puts out an article on The Verge, and it is locked behind a paywall. And of course, it has to do with probably something that has been talked about the most this year, and that is Xbox games going over to PlayStation. So keep that in mind. It is locked behind a paywall, and it has to do, he lists a bunch of things, but he says here, this is a report from Insider Gaming that gives us that information. It says Microsoft is reportedly in the early stages of developing another remaster of Halo Combat Evolved and is considering releasing it on PlayStation 5. And then it says the report outlines other details surrounding the upcoming Xbox games showcase, including the fact that Microsoft is going to port other games under Project Latitude. Now, this is not the first time we've heard Project Latitude come up. I guess this is their whole thing of taking games and making ports of them, taking their first party content and making ports of them. But according to Tom Warren, Fable, Gear 6, and South of Midnight are currently not planned for porting. So there was all of those rumors and discussions about Gear 6 going over to PlayStation, and based off of what he is saying here, that is not going to be happening. The new Doom game, which we've already seen and heard, is called Doom The Dark Ages, and that will be at the showcase, presumably. And it goes on here. It says Halo Combat Evolved has already been remastered once before as part of the Halo Combat Evolved anniversary, which is a great remaster, especially as you switch between the old graphics and the new graphics. I really do like that. And it says the remaster included the game being remade with 343 Industries in-house engine and would include achievements, terminals, and skulls. And the game was originally released back in November 2011. So it'd be kind of an interesting thing here for them to actually remaster Halo Combat Evolved again. I would actually rather them go and do something else. And we've already gotten a great remaster of it. You can go check it out right now. There's really does not need to be that much more done unless it's complete from the ground up remake type of thing. That would be kind of interesting. Like they did it in Unreal Engine 5 or something. Maybe that would be a nice addition. But I would rather them remaster a different Halo or something along those lines than do it again for a game that we have already received. Now, again, this is behind a paywall, but there's more information that Tom Warren did talk about. This is noted here by Hazardor Gaming on X, saying multi-platform games in consideration for Project Latitude by Xbox, Age of Empires 2, Definitive Edition, Age of Mythology Retold, Senua Sega Hellblade 2, Starfield, Halo, CE Remastered, Doom, The Dark Ages. Now, Doom, The Dark Ages, that one, it would make sense because it's been on PlayStation forever, so they're more than likely going to be releasing it there. And then Gear 6 has not been considered, and then it continues on here and says via Tom Warren, I'm not expecting to hear much about Project Latitude during Sunday's Xbox showcase, as Microsoft will largely focus on games for Xbox instead. Microsoft isn't planning to go fully multi-platform and not have Xbox exclusive. So there you have it. Basically, what this article is similar to what Tom Warren said with Xbox discussing Call of Duty going over to Xbox Game Pass. It's just him saying he has sources that are saying Xbox is discussing different options for porting games over to the PlayStation platform. And this is cut out from the article, and you can see it just as one game that is being considered for release on PS5 is Halo, though. Sources tell me Microsoft is working on some form of Halo Combat Evolved remaster that is also being considered for rival consoles. And I don't expect Microsoft to announce this during the showcase, as it's early days for this remaster. So all of this locked behind a paywall is basically Tom Warren saying he's heard things from sources. This is very, very early. There has been no decision made, and they're in discussion about potentially bringing these games over to rival consoles. And honestly, they probably discuss a lot of this all the time about all of their games, looking at the return on investment, how much money they think they are going to be making depending on where they release this game. It is literally on that case-by-case basis on what platforms they are going to be releasing their first party games on, because the industry's changed. We know that games are no longer locked to the plastic boxes anymore. So it's honestly, in my opinion, really not a massive story. It is just a continuation off of what caused a lot of traction, outrage, and clicks a couple months ago before the business update. And at the end of the day, as I've said many times on this channel, I don't really care at all if people play games on different platforms. It doesn't take away from anything for me. In fact, at the end of the day, it probably just helps Xbox grow. It helps Xbox be able to invest more into their first parties and release more content. So it really isn't a big deal if they somehow come out and announce that all of this is true. Who cares? You're still going to be able to play those games. You're still going to be getting them into Xbox Game Pass. There's no sign of Game Pass slowing down with Call of Duty coming and everything. So it really doesn't really matter. So, and when it comes to Game Pass itself, we just got another announcement yesterday, just before the showcase. And I think this is a pretty phenomenal announcement for Game Pass games. Right before a showcase where we're probably going to be getting even more Game Pass announcements. As we talked about yesterday, Octopath Traveler is back into the service. Got the shadow drop of Octopath Traveler 2. Got the Callisto Protocol now coming over to Xbox Game Pass. Still Wakes the Deep, a day one game, which is something we saw at the showcase last year. And this is coming over to the service on June 17th. I'm actually pretty excited for this. Or sorry, June 18th. This one will be dropping day one on Game Pass. And then there's also two other games they announced here. Is Sonzo on June 13th for Cloud Console and PC, which is a World War I first-person shooter. And then finally, the last game on the list here is Depersonalization, coming to PC on June 12th. And it is a tabletop role-playing game inspired by Call of the Cthulhu with branching narrative. So I think this is an awesome announcement. 6 pretty good games here and some big bangers here with the Octopath games, and then Still Wakes the Deep day one, just before the showcase. And like I said, expecting a lot more, hoping that we get some ABK stuff, some backwards compatibility stuff, and just some nice surprises from third parties. I have a feeling there is going to be some Square Enix games coming over to Game Pass, whether it's at the showcase or even more later this year. You're seeing that relationship blossom as they have both Octopath Travelers here in this announcement. And then on top of that, there is this here, that it's being claimed that Chia and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl are also coming to Xbox Game Pass. This is via Ecstasies, says here, recently took to X to provide some exclusive information regarding the Xbox Game Pass. According to their post, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawls and Chia should arrive on Game Pass later this month. So whether they announce this at the showcase or not is going to be most likely coming in the next Game Pass announcement at the end of June. And it says the leaker is not aware whether Xbox Game Pass will include the first or second part of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Moreover, the PlayStation exclusive Chia will be a day one release on Game Pass, according to the post. So there you have it. I mean, a PlayStation exclusive came out previously on PS5 and PlayStation 4, and now it's going to be coming over to Xbox Game Pass. So some great announcements here from Xbox and from the subscription, and then some great stuff to look forward to as we move into the showcase. Now, let's talk about Dragon Age, because we've been hearing about Dragon Age and that it was going to be showing up at Summer Games Fest in some capacity, but it wasn't going to be Dragon Age Dreadwolf. And really, I guess what that meant is that Dragon Age Dreadwolf has been renamed. It is officially being renamed to Dragon Age The Veilguard, and they gave us a ton of new information and when we're actually going to finally see this. We've seen the leaks of Dragon Age Dreadwolf when it was previously called that. Now, we don't know how much the game has been improved and changed since then, because I think that caused somewhat of a controversy. But here's everything that we now know about the upcoming Dragon Age game. I'm pretty excited for it to see how they bounce back and if they can give us a good Dragon Age game. So first official 15-minute gameplay premiere will be on June 11th. There will be 7 unique companions with deep and compelling storylines. There will be a new title, obviously The Veilguard. It better reflects the story's group of companions, and Dreadwolf still plays a big role in the game. Players will take on the role of an original protagonist similar to the Warden, Hawk, and the Inquisitor. It says here, you and your companions make up the Veilguard, protecting the Veil and taking down a new evil threat unleashed upon Thedas. Player agency is very important. Created a story where you can impact the world on companions around you. That sounds pretty awesome. Each companion intended to represent the different factions in the game have their own arcs with stories of love and loss, each with meaningful choices and emotional moments. And I think that's going to be the big thing with this game. How do these choices affect the outcome of the story, affect your gameplay? That's what's going to make this a good game. It says players will visit more regions of Thedas across a deeper variety of biomes than any Dragon Age before it. They say here that they tease another villain beyond Solus. I don't want to get too deep into spoiler territory, but I can say that the Dreadwolf is not the only god players need to be worried about. And combat was a big focus for the team. Will feature an ability to wheel that you can use to pause, designed to give players more direct control over their characters, and players can bring 2 companions along, similar to Mass Effect. And of course, combat is also going to be the other thing that really determines if this is going to be a good game and if people enjoy it. And we did see it. It looked far more actiony, kind of God of War-y from the leaks, and we'll see if that's what it is. I'm not against it. I know some people were kind of against that. I don't care. If it's a third-person action game and with a ton of great RPG elements thrown in there, and it's just kind of more control of the overall combat in it, if it feels good and it plays good, I will enjoy it itself. So I'm actually pretty excited for this. June 11th, we'll get a 15-minute gameplay trailer of Dragon Age The Veilguard. Now, when it comes to Black Ops 6, we're going to see after the Xbox showcase on June 9th, and apparently there's going to be a theater mode, which is always a good thing. Things that you can go back and capture content and post it online and just show all the cool things that you do. But this is great because in 2010, Black Ops was released and they did have a theater mode there. Now, they say in a recent leak posted on Twitter by Bob Network UK, a reliable Call of Duty leaker, it is claimed that the theater mode will be coming back alongside Black Ops 6. Makes sense, as the last Call of Duty title to feature the iconic mode was Black Ops Cold War, the most recent game in the Black Ops sub-series. So theater mode coming back to Call of Duty. Hasn't been there, I guess, for the last couple of releases. And I think this is a good way to promote games, to get gamers out there to post everything on social media. I mean, for these companies, that's just free marketing. If you give people good screenshots, picture modes, theater modes, all of these types of things always help promote games if people are able to get some nice captures out of it. Okay, let's talk about that Lego Horizon game. This is a PlayStation game that we haven't heard of yet, haven't been officially announced, but we've seen a lot of information on it. And it's Lego teaming up here to create the Horizon game. And it says that when the state of play came and went without an announcement, some believed it may have been false information, but Deal Labs writer Bilbo Kun, who has a long track record as a reliable insider, has now stated that it is indeed a game and the reveal is coming on Friday. So if you've been looking forward to this game, it's going to be coming today in the next couple of hours, and it will later this evening, as it is coming at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time during Summer Games Fest. And I kind of thought that this was going to be the case because after the state of play ended, we did hear that there was still another PlayStation game that we were going to be seeing over this next coming week during Summer Games Fest. And my assumption was PlayStation wanted to give this game to the main Summer Games Fest show, because probably it's going to have more broader appeal to the people watching it. And it's a Lego game, so you're going to have a large amount of different gamers that will be interested in checking this out. It's not just going to be Horizon fans that want to play this game. It's going to be all the fans of all of the Lego games that are actually a ton of fun to play. Batman is coming out with a new game. Unfortunately, for all those people out there who don't have VR, it is a VR game, but it says the anticipated new VR game Batman Arkham Shadow just got a new ESRB rating, confirming the minor details about the gameplay and plot. And the rating summary explains that players will traverse the city while examining crime scenes, completing undercover missions, and battling enemies. And it appears to emphasize Batman's detective side. And the summary says players will face off against thugs and police officers alike, which may hint at the nature of the potential undercover mission. So there is a new Batman game. It is a VR game. I would just love them to go back and just make a regular Batman Arkham game. But at the end of the day, we don't really know when that will be coming. And one of the main reasons why we don't know if and when that will be coming is because we got a major report from Rocksteady, or about Rocksteady. This comes via Jason Schreier and Bloomberg. And honestly, not very surprising. I think most people kind of expected this to be the case. And it has to do with Suicide Squad. The game bombed. It was abysmal failure. Commercially an abysmal failure. No matter if you enjoyed it or not, the reality is it just did not do very good at all. And it says here on May 9th, during an earnings call, Warner Brothers revealed that it was taking a $200 million loss on Suicide Squad, making it one of the gaming world's worst blunders. Now, as soon as you read that, the first question that comes to my mind is, what does this mean for Rocksteady? Because we've seen the industry shifting. We've seen them shrinking, layoffs, studio closures. And I think it would be an absolute shame if Rocksteady closed down, because I really do enjoy their games. But a $200 million loss on this, and this is supposed to be a games as a service, a longer term style of game, isn't going to help them in any way. And you have that thought, maybe they're going to be shut down because of this massive failure. So that's what I'm kind of worried about here now when it comes to Rocksteady after seeing that. But there is more information in this article that gives some hope that maybe the next game will be more along the lines of what people want from Rocksteady. Because it does say here, many of the studio's employees are now helping to develop a new director's cut version of Hogwarts Legacy. At the same time, according to people familiar, the studio leaders are looking at to pitch a new single-player game, which would return Rocksteady to its roots. And then you have this here saying, I think they'll definitely get another at-bat, said TD Cowen analyst Doug Kreutz, hopefully with something more aligned with their demonstrated talents. So fingers crossed they're going to go back to a Batman Arkham style of game, and that they actually do get another chance. Hogwarts Legacy, that has pretty much been leading WB, been carrying them because of just how insanely successful that game was. And it's so successful, as they do mention, a director's cut is in development. Now, this is just going to be the same game, obviously, with some additional things to it. One of the other things with this is that Xbox is finally getting those missions that were locked behind the PlayStation console exclusivity, which was super stupid for a game to do that. I feel like that's one of the main reasons when it comes to all this exclusive stuff. That's one of the negatives, in my opinion, locking missions just because a company pays you money for that. But it does say here in a Bloomberg report, Schreier details a lot of Suicide Squad shortcomings, but towards the end of the report, it said Warner Brothers is now working on a director's cut of Hogwarts Legacy. If you remember how crazy successful this game was, selling over 23 million copies. Within 2 weeks of launch, the game sold an impressive 12 million copies and generated 850 million in global revenue. Now, there will be the director's cut, and we will see exactly what is included with that entire package when that does get announced. So if you like Yooka-Laylee, they are getting a remaster called Yooka-Laylee. And it says here that this is going to be an enhanced version of the 2017 game, handled by the same key creative talent behind the original. And the new version offers overhauled art and animations, as well as an enhanced performance and resolution. So they're bringing back Yooka-Laylee with a Yooka-Laylee. Maybe we'll see it here at some upcoming showcases. We have this here, which is a very interesting thing to continue to track as we move forward in the next couple of years, as technology continues to get better, as the phones literally become like mobile PC handhelds, obviously not running Windows or anything, but the ability to be able to play AAA games. Pretty crazy. Assassin's Creed here, Assassin's Creed Mirage, can now be played on an iPhone and an iPad. So they put out this tweet here and they say Assassin's Creed Mirage is now available on iPhone 15 Pro, iPhone 15 Pro Max, iPad Air, and iPad Pro. Play the beginning of the game now for free and discover Basim's journey on the go. Now, obviously, it's not going to be as high fidelity or anything as a console version of the game or a high-end PC version of the game, but it's still very impressive, particularly the iPhone side of things here, that you're going to be able to play these big AAA games. And I think that's going to have some sweeping industry effects going forward. If you're going to be getting iPhones, smartphones that everybody essentially has to have right now to survive, and you're also going to be able to play these major AAA games, and if these phones have better battery life or decent battery life while doing this, how is that going to affect other parts of the gaming market? Are people just not going to care about having to buy any other device if they can just literally play it on their phone? And if you could take that phone and plug it into your TV and then turn it into more of a console experience, connect the controller, how is that going to change the consoles and everything going forward? So we're definitely in changing times when it comes to everything that is happening across the industry. And finally, we'll end off with this. Square Enix is working on 2 unannounced games. It says in an interview here with Yoshi P, says that his team is working on 2 unannounced games that should be revealed soon. And there are rumors of an FF9 remake. And Yoshi P also hinted it's probably time for another Final Fantasy Tactics. I would love to see both of those games. Hope that is the case. And as we know, Square Enix's new strategy, as we've talked about multiple times already this week, those games more than likely are going to be released everywhere. I mean, they said that they are done with their console exclusivity essentially because of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy 16, those games just not meeting their expectations. But I will end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.